Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my monthly ranking of my palettes that I've used in the month of March. So each month this year I'm coming in and ranking all of the palettes that I used, kind of judging of usage. So I look at all of the shades that I've used. So let's say I used every shade 5 times and it's a 5-pan palette. That equals to 25 uses. So that's kind of how I'm counting it out. So I don't look at like the overall usage, I look at like the amount of shades that I use as well. So not just the days that I've reached for the palette. So I do have my palette stacked next to me, so I'm going to jump straight into them. But before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So as always with my ranking in this series, I'm going to start with the least used palette and move away up. So coming in last place, we have my California Coast palette from Sydney Grace. This was my Project Level Up Level 2 palette, and I reached for this one a lot. However, I reached for it mainly in the month of February. I think this was my second most reached for palette in February after my Panda palette. But I'd only reached for it 4 times in the month of March, and I think that was to continue working on the shade. I think I used it a couple times to hit pan on it, and then I also used it a couple more times to hit the 20 use threshold for that one. So that is my usage on this one. Not too much this month, but I have overall gotten a lot of use out of this palette in my collection. For next spot, we're coming in with 5 uses, and we have my Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. The shade that I've been using actually isn't in the palette at the moment because it is in my singles palette because I'm panning it in my panels eyeshadows, and I thought I wouldn't put it back in just simply because I don't want to show any spoilers or anything. But that is the shade that I've been using. That's all of the 5 uses is from that shade. So I haven't reached for any of the other shades in this palette, which is a little bit sad, but I'm hoping to get more use out of this one in summer and autumn. But this one comes in second to last. Another palette that is in my panels eyeshadows at the moment is my Norvina palette, and this one comes in at 6 uses. I'm currently panning the shade Celestial, which is right here. So a little bit of a sneak peek right there. I don't have a pan on it yet, but I have used it the 6 times, which is where those 6 uses come from. Overall, I love this palette a lot, and I definitely would reach for this one. I think overall, like as a whole, sometime soon. Maybe I would roll it into my Big Fat Eyeshadow project in May, perhaps. We'll see. But yeah, I love this palette a lot, and I'm getting some use out of Celestial right now. So I'm also foreseeing this one to be in the list for April. The next couple of palettes are all ones that have been in my Big Fat Eyeshadow project for March. So coming in last out of those, we have this palette right here, which is my Star Wars Mandalorian The Child palette, which is a 9-pan palette. It's quite a big jump up from the Norvina palette. This one has 17 uses, and I use this overall a lot. I reached for all of the shades at least once in that project, and I also reached for a couple of shades a bit more. I know the Force, for example, I reached 5 times because that was in my Expand Those pans. But yeah, this one is getting a lot of use, and I really love this palette a lot, as you guys know. But yeah, 17 uses in the month of March. And we are, by the way, in my top 5. That is my 5th palette. And spot number 4, we're coming in with my Hella palette from Odensai. This one was in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. This one looks like this. And in the last month, this one has 19 uses. This is actually the first time I'm reaching for this palette. I got this one gifted to me in January, and I'm really loving this palette a lot. It was really beautiful to work with, and I made some beautiful looks with it in my project. Again, since I have 19 uses and this is a 16-pan palette, there was a couple of shades that I reached for a couple extra times. I believe I reached for double-sided 3 times and fluorescence 2 times, and I think that equal up to the 19 uses in this palette. For spot number 3, we have my most recent palette that I have used in my Big Fat Eyeshadow project, and that is my Love Notes palette. So this one again has a little bit of a jump up. We're now in the 20s. I have used this one 23 times. This is quite a large palette. It has 20 shades, and I was able to use all of the shades in that project, which I'm really happy with because it meant that I reached no pan left behind for this one. On top of that, I also reached for a couple more shades here and there, which gave me the 23 uses in total. Yeah, I'm really happy with my usage on this one. I know that I'm going to use this one at least once in April because I have one more use left in this shade here, which I mentioned in my update. I actually filled out one yesterday, and I was planning to put that one in my look today, but I felt like it didn't go with my look, so I'm going to use that one hopefully tomorrow for more of an everyday look. So yeah, I'm going to get at least one use in this palette next month, but most of the usage came in March. So for spot number 2, we have my Project Level Up palette for right now, which is the At Forest Sight palette by Colourpop in collaboration with Raw Beauty Christie. I'm not going to open up to show you the palette because obviously I'm going to update my Product Level Up palette project very, very soon, so I don't want to show you anything, but it's actually the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today for the most part. I love this look. I really love how this one turned out. But in the month of March, I used this palette 27 times, which I'm really happy with. I'm going to continue working on this one for sure in April, so it's also going to be my list in April. I'm not sure how many uses it's going to get in April though, but I know for a fact it's going to end up on that list, especially because today is the 1st of April and I've used a couple of shades for today's look, so that's already some uses counting into next month. But yeah, again, in the month of March, I reached for this one 27 times. Then for spot number 1, as always, we have my Panda palette. This one always comes in first place because I'm reaching for this one the absolute most. For the second place palette, we have the At Forest Sight palette at 27 uses. And this palette has a whopping 123 uses in the month of March. I reached for this palette a lot in the last month because I had some lofty goals with it. I just updated the project, so I'm going to show you the palette. But I had a goal of finishing the shade here, which I was able to do, but that was like, I think, 30 uses ish. It like took a long time to finish that shade. And I also wanted to reach for all of the mattes in here 10 times each, which I wasn't quite able to do, but majority of them I did reach for 10 times, or at least close to it, like 8 or 9 uses. That's also going to equal to a lot of extra uses. So 123 in this palette, which I'm really, really proud of. I don't know if it's going to be that high moving forward. If I can end up around 100, I'm really, really happy with that for each month. But yeah, I did really well for this one in March, and it's going to end up in number 1, which again, I'm foreseeing this one to do for majority of the year. Maybe not towards the end of the year when I have finished up a couple of shades in here, but for now at least, it's going to continue being in first place, which I don't think comes as a shock to anyone. So those were all of the palettes that I reached for in the month of March. We have 8 palettes in total. Majority of them come from either my Big Fat Eyeshadow project, my Product Level Up, or my Panda palette. And then I also had a couple of palettes that are included in my Panda's eyeshadow. So all of the palettes that I reached for are in different projects, which I think is going to be the theme for the rest of the year. Of course, every now and then I might reach for palettes that aren't in project just because I want to reach for them. But overall, I think that's going to be the trend moving forward too. So that is going to be it for today, you guys. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And let me know what your most used palette was for the month of March. And I will catch you in my next one. Bye, guys.